In the year 2098, gaming had transcended mere entertainment. Virtual reality had evolved into a fully immersive experience where players could physically feel, taste, and smell the worlds they entered. These games had become a way of life for many, with entire cities built around the industry. Esports had overtaken traditional sports in popularity, and the best players weren't just celebrated, they were worshipped. Among them, one name stood above the rest: Kayle Striker. He was a legend, known not just for his unmatched skill, but for his enigmatic persona. Kayle was the reigning champion of Realm of Infinity, the most complex and dangerous VR game ever created. It was a vast, ever-evolving universe where players competed to conquer worlds, defeat mythical creatures, and outwit each other in strategic warfare. The game had no boundaries, only endless possibilities. Kayle's rise to fame had been meteoric. He had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, an unknown player who quickly rose through the ranks, defeating veterans and top-tier players with a style so fluid, so unpredictable, that no one could replicate it. His movements were precise, his tactics flawless, and his intuition almost supernatural. Within a year, Kayle had become the undisputed champion, feared by even the most seasoned players. Yet, for all his fame, no one really knew who Kayle Striker was. He rarely spoke during tournaments, kept his face obscured by a slick black helmet that reflected no light, and never appeared at public events. Rumors swirled about his true identity. Some said he was a genius prodigy trained from birth by a secret organization. Others claimed he was an AI, a machine learning from every match, evolving faster than any human could. But no one knew for sure, and that only added to his mystique. The true legend of Kayle Striker, however, began during the Infinity Wars, the ultimate global tournament for Realm of Infinity. The stakes were higher than ever before. The tournament wasn't just about winning, it was about survival. The game developers had introduced a new element to the competition, the Abyss, a dark and twisted part of the game that had never been unlocked. It was said to be nearly impossible to navigate, filled with unspeakable horrors and traps that no player had ever seen. To win, a player would have to conquer the Abyss and emerge with the Sigil of Infinity, the game's most coveted prize. Kayle entered the tournament as the favorite, but even he knew this was unlike anything he had faced before. The competition was brutal. Top players from around the world were eliminated one by one as they ventured into the Abyss, their avatars consumed by the darkness, their minds pushed to the breaking point by the immersive experience. The game's AI, designed to challenge even the best, seemed almost alive, adapting to each player's strategy and countering with terrifying precision. As the tournament neared its final stages, only two players remained: Kayle Striker and a mysterious challenger known as Vex, a rising star who had come out of nowhere, much like Kayle had in his early days. Vex was unlike any opponent Kayle had faced, ruthless, relentless, and just as skilled. The two clashed in epic battles across multiple worlds, their encounters becoming the stuff of legend. The final showdown took place deep within the Abyss, in a place known as the Echoing Void, a dark realm where the laws of physics no longer applied, and reality itself seemed to unravel. It was a place where even the bravest players had faltered, their minds unable to cope with the sheer madness of the environment. Kayle and Vex fought for hours, their every move a perfect counter to the others. They dodged impossible attacks, navigated shifting landscapes, and used every ounce of their skill to outthink one another. The viewers, millions of them from across the world, were glued to their screens, unable to look away as the two legends battled for supremacy. Then, in a moment that no one could have predicted, Kayle did something extraordinary. He paused. For the first time in the entire tournament, he stopped moving. Vex, sensing an opportunity, launched a final, all-out attack. But Kale stood still, seemingly unfazed by the onslaught. Just as Vex's attack was about to connect, Kale moved with lightning speed, dodging the blow and countering with a devastating strike that shattered Vex's defenses. In that split second, Kale had done the impossible. He had won. The screen flashed with the words, "Victory, Kale Striker, champion of the Infinity Wars." But the victor felt different. Kale didn't celebrate. Instead, he approached Vex's fallen avatar, standing over it for a long moment before removing his helmet. The entire world gasped. Kale Striker was revealed to be not a man, but a woman, an older woman with a calm, fierce gaze. She had silver hair that framed her face, and in her eyes was the wisdom of someone who had seen more than just battles in a game. Her name was Kara Striker, a name forgotten by many but once known in the world of gaming decades ago. Kara had been one of the first champions of virtual reality gaming in its infancy. She had disappeared from the scene years ago after a personal tragedy, a loss that had driven her away from the spotlight. But she had returned, taking on a new identity, and had become the greatest gamer of her time once again. As Kara stood there, looking at Vex, she said only one thing: "Don't let the game consume you. Remember who you are." With that, she logged off, leaving the world stunned. Kara had reclaimed her legacy, but she had also left a message, that even in the most immersive and consuming of games, identity mattered. Behind every legend was a person, with hopes, fears, and dreams. And though Kara Striker was a legend in the virtual world, she had reminded everyone that the real world still held the greatest challenges of all.